Greetings, this is Michael W. Ford. Today I'm going to briefly present something in Luciferianism as the concept of everyday practice, or every night practice, whichever it is for you. Understand that many people have asked, well, your books, where do I begin? You can take any one of the grimoires, Drauga, Sabeti, Fallen Angels, Bible of the Adversary, any of those grimoires, and keep in mind I always consider them gateways. These are gateways to my personal understanding of metaphysical Luciferianism. Some people call it theistic, whatever. But with Luciferianism you have the philosophy, and with all these books you can take any one of my books. The first section of the grimoire is history and the philosophy and how those intertwine, how Luciferianism is illuminated now and utilized now in a practical way. First in the rational, everyday sense, and in the development of personal spirituality in the initiatory practice. And towards the middle and end is the transformation between ancient and modern and how we use those, and the reconstructed, readapted, and utilized modern invocations, works, demonology, etc. So some people ask, you know, how do you do an offering, libation? And so I'm going to show you one little small example. And some might say, when it comes to doing libations, is this like, you know, core practice in Luciferianism? No, it's not. You have to adapt that and find what's useful for you. Some will never do this, and if you discuss this to anybody concerning libations or offerings, it's not a part of everyday conversation in Luciferianism. So let's show what a simple setup might look like. I want to make a statement too that, you know, the foundation of doing libations, or while you're doing an invocation to a particular deific mask or spirit or demon, whatever you call it, is for the purpose of finding expression in yourself and through you as a living temple. It's not necessarily superstitious. It's a focused reaffirmation of energy. If you're doing a libation for the dead, for manes or shades, or a particular necromantic ritual, well, those are done at night, of course. But if you're doing an offering to your ancestors, your family, then there's some basic guidelines. It's about taking a moment and recognizing the kind of Ouroboros circle of renewal from old paganism, from Mesopotamia, from the ancestral dead, and how it manifests and is renewed. This is part, potentially, of the initiatory practice in Luciferianism. So what I'm about to show you is not, you know, someone might say, Michael, why are you doing chthonic or infernal gardening? Well, you know, it's not necessarily that, although that might be a good idea. This is something simple that I do, which you can do it as elaborate or simple as you wish, but it needs to be personal and it needs to be highly focused. So understand that you know, there's some basic guidelines in libations: water, wine, honey, things like this, all the way back through all the grimoires. Those are for particular types of workings, for honoring, for invoking a beneficial power. If you ever use your own blood in libations, those are for nocturnal ceremonies of necromancy, for communion with spirits, but not for getting guidance from spirits, simply because it all has to come through you, not through you know, something telling you what to do, if that's your experience. you have to be that temple, that living temple that embodies that. So let's look at the little spot that we have here in this small hot area in near Houston, Texas. This right here, actually several things here are pretty old, for like 5 years or more. This is an area right off my current yard and garage, and I don't use this every day, but when I do, it's for offering purposes, especially if I don't want to drive to a cemetery or something like that. So what you have here is a statue of a satyr, or a green man, one aspect of Kronos, or the horn god. He's solar. It's also Luciferian in that it's nature renewing, it's wild fertility and unrestricted growth and awakening. So this satyr, or Luciferic type Celtic inspired deity has been here for a long time. He's actually stood up to the elements great, which is a nice thing to know, especially if you ever look at purchasing one. This right here, this pipe, pipes were used in ancient Hurrian, Hittite, Syrian, and Mesopotamian magical workings, necromancy, chthonic, infernal workings. They put pipes into the ground towards tombs, or where they considered gateways, to pour libations for the dead. And if you notice, I have this very old recycled icon statue of Lilith and her body and head. There's not much left, but it was suitable. So in the hours of night, you take something like this libation bowl of Hecate, or the three manifestations of Hecate, and this contains water. Normally I'd do this at night because that's when offerings are done, and you simply pour it. And you pour it with a invocation and a simple prayer, if you will. That's a basic way of doing invocations, in that sense, offerings. Now, this area that I just showed you is highly unimpressive, but it works for me. It's, as I've mentioned before, as long as your will, desire, belief, your focus, your intent, your meaning is clear, and you can invest belief in what you're doing completely. You don't have to explain it to anybody. I mean, why you're doing it, unless it's, family, or, they wonder why you have the strange setup in the portion of the yard. They know you well, they should probably understand, but it has to have deep personal spiritual meaning for you, not for anyone else, or to impress anyone. It doesn't matter outside of your work. But you take during the day, different seasons. If you take fallen angels, Semyaza, the watcher related to roots, witchcraft, sorcery. This is about obtaining not only instinctual, insightful knowledge within yourself, because the key is within you. The key is you. But instinctively, how you do this, for what reason? Semyaza, learning. It's within you. That spark, that black flame is within you already. You have to cultivate it. You have to ignite it. And igniting it means you have to actually perform and work with magic. It's not just a theory, reading a book saying, hey, that's cool, but actually applying it, doing it, visualizing it. And a libation, to say Semyaza with an invocation, is to gain or open a pathway towards gaining a particular type of knowledge or wisdom, something you want to grow more comfortable with or know about magic, and sorcery. Luciferianism embraces and has many roots in Celtic, Norse, Germanic, of course Mesopotamian, all of these ancient practices and cultures, except now we don't have to, we're not confined to believing in a necessarily superstition, but if you look at science, in the occult or magic, it's basically hand in hand. I haven't seen anything that contradicts one or the other. It's all open to interpretation. Interpretation is paramount for you. Now, as a Luciferian, you don't go around saying, hey, I'm doing libations today to Shemyaza to gain a particular insight. You know, if someone asks you, oh, well, what's this Luciferian practice? Best thing you can do is stick to the practical, rational philosophy, the basic 11 points, which are not holy words. They are guiding points, the foundation of the Luciferian philosophy, and then practicing magic is a natural association with this. Let's look at the libation bowl and what that would look like, depending on what you're doing. So if you do this nocturnally, you could do offerings to the dead, Hecate, summoning. You'd use different ingredients in your libation, but this is simple water. And in an invocation to Shemyaza, the Watcher, during the hours of light, or to Zeus, basically order deities, Woden, Odin, Ahura Mazda, if you're of the Yatuk-Dano, is about embracing the order and conquering aspect. During the hours of night, that's the complete kind of dark element, the night side element, which is essential as with the light. They're one and the same. They're different aspects of each other, not duality, not one extreme complete within itself, but a duality. So pouring libations, an invocation to Shemyaza. Shemyaza, I offer this to you. I offer you this libation. Open the way through me to understand the nature of symbolism, herbs. Or Shemyaza, I offer to you in respect to the earth, to the renewal, to the ever-flowing cycle, to the Ouroboros, to your knowledge on the path of witchcraft. Hail Shemyaza. And then pouring the libation with an offering with spirits into the libation pipe, or simply the ground. Hail Shemyaza. As you can see, that was a simple practice, something that can be done in minutes, and a return focus on that. How do you know, how do you validate that practice? Well, you're going to have an instinctual piece. It's a balance between your spiritual beliefs, which feed your rational, your everyday, but also your attainment of what that specific narrow goal is. And as you get there, it's not just a click, oh, achieved, done, another offering and thanks. All of these energies, these powers flow through you and nature. It's a part of you and it's a part of nature. So use it wisely, use it to your benefit. And once you validate that, and you know when it's validated, be very pleased. Don't question it. Don't say, well, what if it was this or this or this? It doesn't matter. You attained it. You focused your will, your energy. That is a basic practice with libation.